The menu system configuration is normally only used for service purposes. There are 12 chapters that can be viewed. Chapter 1 is a MemberNet node overview. Here we see all the cards that are present in the system with their node name, for both the rec and the user's interface. Every node has its own MemberNet address that is shown in the first column. Every node has its unique ID. The first number is the ID of the manufacturer, in this case 0001, which is manufacturer DNR. The second number is the unique ID of the card type, 001E for Firewire, and 0002 is a My card, and 0001 is a line input card. The third number is the unique number of the card itself. Every card and every node has its own unique number. In the column Node Name we see the name of the node. These names can be changed. It's advisable to put an easy to recognize name here, for instance rec line 1 to 4. In the parent column we can locate the card in the system, actually behind which gateway. The user level column shows to which console the user belongs. In this case we have 4 users interfaces that are part of console 1. If there were more consoles, also console 2, 3 and 4 would be present. The default column indicates how many default settings are present on a node. In the config column we indicate how many functions are tied to an object on the node. In this case 36 objects are activated for the mic rec card. In the column Object we can see how many objects are present in this node. The rec mic, for instance, has 100 objects. We also use this page when we are going to replace a card. For instance, if we want to replace rec line card 1 to 4 for the same card in case of a malfunction. We take out the rec line 1 card from the rec, and after a timeout we see that it's gone because the information is grayed out in the list. It means that it's not present physically anymore, but it's still in the database. Now we can replace the card by a new one. We do a refresh of the screen by hitting the F5 key, and we see that a new card is added as a rec line card. The old card had the number 6E and the new card number 6D. We also can see that it has got a new address, number 3. The old card had number 4. We want a new card number 3 to take over all the functions of the old card number 4, so we can use it like before. We can do that by clicking on the grayed out unique number 0006E. We see a selection list of which card we can take over the data. In this case we only have one card, number 6D. We want that card 6D takes over all the functionality of card 6E. After a screen refresh we see that the functionality has been taken over by the new card. The old card has disappeared and a new rec line card 6D has been added. It also has got the configuration of the objects, so the new card works exactly like the old one with the same sources and functionality. This is the way to replace a card in the rec. There are also Chapter 2 generate sources and in Chapter 3 generate destinations. These chapters are only used by the manufacturer for initialization of the system. This is a one-time only activity. If you access generate sources, all present sources will be deleted and new sources will be generated. It is the same story for the chapter destinations. Also here all present data will be deleted and new data will be generated. All existing names and functions are gone, so we only do that once with the first setup. In Chapter 4 we see templates. Templates show you which templates are present in the console. Chapter 5 is predefined node configurations. This is a list with all predefined nodes, for instance for the fader panels and rack units. This data can be uploaded in other fader panels, but now with an offset to load it into the right fader panel. On Chapter 6 we can find the engine functions. When the page opens, you will see a huge list of all the available functions, 800 in total. Every function can be switched on or off by different users. So in the web page engine functions we have an overview of which user is allowed to use specific functions. In this case, source select can be used in the idle mode, a mode when no one is present or logged in the console. It can be used in the unknown mode when someone is not recognized by the system but logged on anyway. And source select can be used by operator 1 and 2 and by supervisor 1 and 2. The administrator can always use all functionalities of the system, so it's not listed here. If we choose not to allow source select to be used in idle and unknown mode, but only in operator and supervisor mode, we click yes to no in the first two columns. In this way it's possible to program security settings per function. Normally this is done in this menu, but it's also possible to do it at the user's interface menus. We can in this way activate or deactivate functions for idle mode, unknown mode, operator and supervisor for every user interface. In Chapter 6 we see package versions. Here we can see which software version is running in our system. We have software for the rack processor, here Git 18, and we have software versions for the web software, here Git 13. In Chapter 8 we have download backup, that's not in use anymore. In Chapter 9 we have web accounts. Here we can change the logon configuration. We have a login for the console configuration and we have a login for the system configuration. In Chapter 10 we see SSH, which is a method to look into the Linux system through PuTTY to change settings and monitor what's going on. Normally this is enabled, but when disabled it's not possible to monitor the Linux server. In Chapter 11 are the log files. In the system 5 processes are running all the time and produce log files to look at. These log files show what's going on in the system. These logs are time related, so we can understand which process ran at what moment. At the bottom of the file you see the latest activities of the Axum. This can be seen for all processes running. Then at Chapter 12 we see the register information. Here you can see which nodes are present in the rack configuration and on which slots. You can see the node name, the number and the decimal number for both the rack and the server's configuration. The system configuration is actually only used for servers and in case an end user wants to replace a card in the rack. That's the only purpose this system configuration has.